Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Dr. Rhonda M. Lawson, and I am back. I have not switched nights. I'm just showing a special interview tonight that I want you all to be a part of. As you know, we have a very important election coming up, and I want to make sure that everybody truly understands all of the issues that are involved with this particular election. This is not just about Donald Trump against Kamala. It's not just again the white man against the black woman. There's so much more at stake. And so I wanted to be able to use my platform to help all of you to understand what's truly at stake and what actually is going on behind the scenes. I don't want you to get distracted by the glitz and the glamour. But I want you to make sure that when you go to the polls that you are voting with your conscience and with your heart. So we'll be doing a number of different shows like this between now and November. But tonight, I just really super excited because over the weekend, as many of you know, I was in New Orleans for the Black Caucus of the American Librarians Association. And I ran into this really amazing woman. Come to find out, we both live here in Maryland, and she lives over in Bowie, and I'm in Accokeek, so we don't live that far from each other. And as we got to talking, she told me about one of the authors who is under her imprint, and I was like, oh shoot, he's exactly who we need to talk to. So I'm not gonna say much more because I'm gonna let him tell you exactly who he is. I'm just saying this man knows what he's talking about. So you might want to listen up on this one. So make sure you have both of your ears on this one. But without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Dr. Molefi Kete Asante. Please tell me I said that correctly.
Yeah, you did.
Yay! How are you tonight?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. It's good. I'm looking forward. That's right. we all looking forward.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to this conversation because if anybody knows what he's talking about, is you. I know you've written a number of books, well, 104 in all. But since the 2016 election, you've been really busy writing a lot of books just to help people to kind of understand what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, I have, Dr. Rhonda. And let me just tell you, I'm just very happy to be on your show. I'm delighted. This is wonderful. And I want to say hello to all of your audience and everybody. But, I was born in Georgia, in Valdosta, Georgia. And I went to school to study communication and ended up getting a PhD at UCLA in communication. But in that journey, during the period that I was in school, there was a great influence of a lot of psychologists, as well as communicationists, who were concerned about what had happened in Germany under Hitler. And they studied, everybody was studying Hitlerian rhetoric. They were trying to examine, how was it that the whole country of Germany, which at the time was considered to be a very educated country and a country that had really reached a very high level of understanding and rational decisions and technology, how was it that one person was able to turn that entire country around and make that country a country that would become anti-Jewish, anti-Roma, anti-gay, anti-black? I mean, what was it in his rhetoric, in his language, that caused him to be able to do that to a rational, what we considered at that time a rational group of people. Well, uh, so just to come forward a bit, and for many years, I have taught at universities for over actually 5 decades. I've taught at universities and I've taught communication, but I've also taught African studies. And what struck me about Trump and Donald Trump, I should point out, because there are other Trumps now, like Fred Trump and Mary Trump, and they have different ideas, all right? But what struck me about Donald Trump was that for the first time in my lifetime, there was an individual who, at a national level, was able to galvanize a group of ordinary Americans and mold them into a cult
Mm,
that was unbelievable to me, because I had always thought that those people who were able to do that were local. Like in Georgia, we had Governor Talmadge, who was a demagogue. We call a demagogue a person who is able to use language in such a way to make ordinary people believe that he or she is one of them, and that not only that, but that their grievances are the grievances of the speaker. And this meant that you had to know the emotions of the people. You have
right,
to deal with their the way they see themselves in reality. And so Trump, at a national level, was doing this, not as a governor, not as a local politician, but at a national level. He was doing all the things that the people that we used to refer to as the worst people in the history of the world. You know, the Nazis did this. And what did he say? He basically demonized, that is, made devils out of everybody who was not for him or like him. And that is the basic kernel that the demagogue uses. Everybody who is not for me is against me, and those who are against me are inferior to me because I'm smarter than anybody else. And that's been his logic. It was the logic of Hitlerian rhetoric. It was the same. I remember seeing the film by Lena Riefenstahl, which is called Triumph of the Will. And that film was considered uh, one of the most outstanding propaganda films in history. But it showed you exactly how Hitler did what he did. And so I began recording statements that were made by Trump when he announced for the presidency. I began watching him, reading the newspapers, and it's out of that I wrote the book, The American Demagogue. And of course, the book was published by UWP, which is a small publishing company, so it didn't get a lot of publicity. And I'm always happy to talk about it because I think it's one of my best analysis of what's going on in the American society. The American society, the American government, rather, the American nation, I should say, the American nation is not a static project. It's a dynamic project. That means what it is today is not what it was 100 years ago. And it's not what it was 50 years ago. But the Trump people believe that something is wrong with the idea of America being a dynamic project. They
right,
want it to be a static project. They want to go back 100 years, or some of them want to go back 200 years. Some of them want to keep African people enslaved, to enslave us. You know, they that's the image they have of America. That is a white nation, mainly for white men. It's hierarchical in that sense and patriarchal, and no other people should be here. Now, meanwhile, the basic structure of the society is false. This is a country of indigenous people. This land existed here as a land of the Comanche and the Iroquois and the Lenape and the Cherokee and the Shawnee and the Muskogee. long before any European stepped on this land. So this whole idea that somehow this land is only a land for white people is a false idea, but it's one of the ideas that a demagogue like Trump will use with white voters to get these white people all riled up that somebody's taking their land. No, you took somebody's land.
Exactly.
It's not somebody. It's not you. It's not somebody's taking your land. You took somebody's land.
Now,
So
are we seeing a lot of that, and a lot of the evidence of what you're saying? We're seeing that in Project 2025.
well, Project 25, Dr. Rhonda, is, in my judgment, one of the most awful documents ever written. But I think, as I think about it analytically, the way I look at Project 2025 is that, see, for a demagogue out there like Trump, who is saying things and riling up people, you can rile up people, but the question becomes, how do you maintain power? And what Project 25 does for somebody like Trump, or anybody who want to be like Trump, what it does is to take away all the guardrails that keep you from losing power. Because, see, in a democracy like we have in this country, supposedly, in a democracy, government is government by rational discourse. It's by argument, by talk, by debate, where people meet and decide, negotiate with each other. That's how democracies work. But with Project 2025, they want to take away all the institutions that are there to protect people and to give absolute power to the person who is the executive. And that is total fascism. It is total totalitarianism and authoritarianism. And it would allow Trump to do anything he pleases. I mean, I was shocked reading Project 2025 when I learned that they want to have control of the Center for Disease Control. They want to have a control of the FDA, Food and Drug Administration.
How about everybody who's a federal worker working in the administration having to sign a paper to say that we are not going to say anything bad against them?
Yeah, and that's what I said. Isn't that crazy? I mean, for us, it seems crazy because actually in this country, the most liberal and progressive people are African Americans. We always vote the most progressive. If you look at the voting pattern of this country, the most progressive, so-called liberal population is always the Black American population. And part of what we understand is that we have fought and struggled so long and so hard and so righteously in this country that we understand democracy perhaps more than anybody else. And we know what is evil and what is good. And so we understand that what Trump is trying to do and what the people around him are trying to do is to get rid of all those things that they think have been helpful to African Americans and to other people. So particularly the Department of Education. Why you want to get rid of the Department of Education? We need the Department of Education. In fact, Trump needs to be educated. He doesn't seem to have had a liberal education, which would have given him some understanding of history, some understanding of geography, some understanding of how this country came into being in the first place. He doesn't seem to have any of that. And what he has demonstrated is that in America, you don't have to know very much to be president. And that's what he demonstrated in his in the first term in office. That basically you don't have to, you can be ignorant and still be president of the United States of America if you're willing to be a demagogue and to tell lies every day so that you have thousands and thousands of lies, because people do believe people can believe lies. We've
already seen that people will often believe lies because it's easier to do that. If my favorite politician said it, it's got to be true. If my
Absolutely.
favorite news agency said it, it's got to be true.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what has happened. Trump has, he built on his celebrity from television, and then he came into the political arena, and almost everything that he says, there is, I mean, he cannot go through a speech without making a lie. And all of it is wrapped up in this hateful attitude toward other people, and particularly black women. He just seems to have a penchant for attacking women, but black women particularly. It's like, oh no, here we go, funny again, Letitia. Oh no, I mean, and so, but what I understand, because I understand American history and African American history, is that what has happened to him is that the sisters have developed a respect for law and a respect for a rational discourse and discussion that has really shocked him. And I think a lot of his followers, a lot of the people who claim to be Trump people, I think they also have a sense
It's
that
starting to
they,
see.
yes, absolutely. They don't understand where are these black people coming from? How do they get to be in these positions, and who are these people? And this, combined with the fact that they're also angry with
Mhm.
immigrants who have really, and in fact, the people who are angriest often are people who are immigrants themselves, just like Trump. Trump's family was an immigrant family. They're
Yes.
Germans. They came from
The vice
Germany.
president's wife is an immigrant too.
Absolutely. His wife is a recent immigrant. Absolutely. So they're all immigrants, and
Oh,
they
the vice president
and
pick, I
she
should say.
and
Not the
I
vice
bet she
president.
got special favors, and she probably
Mm.
got special favors. We don't know that, but I'm just saying that it's very important for us to understand that people who hate people and who build their political careers on the basis of hatred, what they're trying always to do is to destroy this notion of America as a dynamic democracy. Dynamic democracy, which means that at some point in the future, the country will not be majority white. And this is the fear. That's why I write in the book, The American Demagogue, I write that one of the big problems is the fear of fear. They fear that what happens demographically in this society if white men are no longer in charge, and what happens if we see a society in which there are more Mexicans, more Spanish speaking people, more Asian people in this society than white people. And as far as I'm concerned, and I always tell this to my brothers and sisters, I say, you know what, I believe in democracy. And I believe that you can't keep a country where it was last year. You
Mhm.
you have to allow things to grow. And I mean, what's problematic at all with the fact that in 100 years everybody would be speaking Spanish? I don't see a problem with it because I'm a Democrat. I believe in democracy. If that's the way it ball bounces, if it bounces so that fundamentally we all be speaking Yoruba or all be speaking Kiswahili. That's a democracy. If it's a
But by
democratic,
saying something like that and just leaving it at that, by saying, if we don't do something about this now, in the next 50 years, we'll all be speaking Spanish. What it is a scare tactic.
it's a scare tactic.
And then when you look at, if you think about the movie Ants, if
Yes,
you remember that movie, the ants outnumbered the crickets, the grasshoppers.
yes,
But the grasshoppers were the ones who had the power, and
that's
they were the ones who were able to take the ants, turn them against each other, strike fear in them, and that, because that kept them in power. And that's
that's
exactly
right.
what we're seeing right now in real life.
It was such a wonderful analogy because you are perfectly right, and that's what is happening. And the thing is that those levers of power really or have been in the hands traditionally of white males, and now they're seeing the shift. This is why they initially didn't want Barack Obama as president. That's why uh, uh, Trump started this birthers thing. He's not born in America. He's
Right.
not. He's not here. And this is the same
And
thing
then
that he
starting to
wants to
use his
say
middle
about
name
Kamala.
against him.
Yeah,
Making sure he said Barack Hussein Obama.
absolutely, absolutely. You gotta do everything because all of this is appeal. This is appeal to the most uh, uneducated, ordinary uh, uh, white person who has a heart full of hatred against other people. That's what that appeal is about. It's a his appeal about he's not like us or she's not like us. I mean, this is the thing which comes with Kamala. That as I heard earlier, that the question about whether or not she's Asian or I didn't know whether she was black or something that he apparently said to the
Yeah, he said it
black
at the
journalist.
National Association of Black Journalists. He said that he didn't know that Kamala was black until recently because when she was elected, when she was in California, she was the first Asian, or the first Asian American attorney general.
Yeah,
And she got ready to run for vice president and now running for president. All of a sudden, she was
she's
black.
black.
Didn't know
No,
she was black. And
no,
is I've seen a number of people. I saw it today on Instagram where a number of people have been trying to argue that point, saying,
no.
"Well, she's not black. She's only trying to be black now because she wants our vote." But even if she is, people, the black race has been pandered to every 4 years. We're pandered,
Absolutely, absolutely,
but
absolutely.
that's why we have to vote with our conscience.
Absolutely. And if she wants to pander to black people, let her pander to black people. But I think it goes deeper than that. I mean, here's a woman who grew up in Oakland, California, in the era of the Black Panthers, and her family
Yes.
lived in with the black in the black neighborhood. She went to Howard University, which is one of our great universities,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a black woman all this
And
time,
she joined the black sorority.
and she joined the black sorority. And why is this? Because here's the thing about this question of race: the African American community is probably the most diverse community in this country anyway, and we have people. I mean, from the very beginning, when Africans came here, whether we were coming from the Igbo ethnic group, or the Yoruba ethnic group, or the Mandinka, or the Wolof, we were all mixed up anyway. We were all these different ethnic groups from Africa. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, all Africans are not the same ethnic group. So we were
That's,
mixed up, number one. And then we were
not all
mixed with
Africans even speak the same language.
absolutely. And we were mixed with Native Americans, and of course, we have there are a lot of people in our community with white paternity. If you go back 2 or 3 generations, their grandfathers or great grandfathers are white people. So all that's in the African American. So you can't make a distinction if a person declares that she's black. Then I accept that. I mean, and that's what Trump knew. He knew that. Talk about he just recently found that out. That's because he wants to confuse black people and help black people get on Instagram and say, "Oh, she's not black." No, she's been black for as long as she could remember. But her
Mhm.
mother was Indian, her father was Jamaican. So that's
Exactly.
just
Oh,
yeah.
that's the other thing, that they're trying to sow confusion on. Now they're saying that her father's not even black. He's white and Hindu and happened to be living in Jamaica.
Well, I mean, hey, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, I'm sorry. I know your program is not partisan, but I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. All the other folks, if they want to vote for Trump, they can vote for Trump.
Thank you.
I'm
That's
voting
all I'm
for
saying.
her.
So,
I
for those of
mean,
you who just recently joined us, we are talking with Dr. Molefi Kete Asante. He has written 104 books. He's known as the father of Afrocentricity. And he has written a number of books, especially since 2015 when Barack Obama first ran for president, and
right.
a number of books on helping us to understand that line between race and politics. And so that's what we're talking about tonight.
Thank you very much. And so I want to just say that for me, that when I look at the fact that Donald Trump rose to a great position of power and influence over the rest of the Republicans, the traditional Republicans, the only explanation of that is that he was able to get to the masses of white people with a message that they, deep in their hearts, felt. And that message was that we are under attack as white people,
Right.
and their grievances came out. And in fact, these were grievances that, if you ask me, were grievances that were uh, they were considered serious by many of the whites, but they really not serious when it comes to what has happened to African people and Native American people and Mexican people in this country. And so, but he appealed to that, and that's a demagoguery way of looking at things. Even if a black person did that with black people, that would be a demagogic way of doing things. And a demagogue's only idea is that he should be in power because he is superior to other people. And Trump said this very early on in his career for the presidency, that he said this, and I got it in the book. And if you read my book, the American Demagogue, I said it. He because I quoted from him that I'm German and I have German blood, and German blood is good blood. I mean, there's no such thing as German blood.
And
All
it's good
human,
blood.
all Homo sapiens, all Homo sapiens have similar type blood. You may have different type of blood, but we all have blood. So this there's nothing that gives you more intelligence because of your ethnicity. And
Yeah.
this is the stupidity of racism. And I call it in the book the ridiculous position. It forces you to take a ridiculous position. But here's the problem. The problem is that there are people who are willing to trust people like Trump. And that is the danger in our society. And people sometimes vote against their own interests. In fact, Trump is running a legitimate political campaign, and
Mm-hmm.
there will be people who will vote for him. And then people say, "Oh, well, uh, you know, people voted for Hitler," and it's true. Hitler didn't take power by the
Right.
military.
Right.
Hitler had a political party, the National Socialists, and they almost won. And when they didn't win, the president von Hindenburg just appointed him to be chancellor. And from that position of being chancellor, then he went on legitimately to be head of Germany and to create a situation that riled up the nation against all kinds of other people. This is exactly what Trump wants. And he wanted Pence, his vice president, to violate the Constitution
Yes.
because a demagogue doesn't believe that the Constitution is for him. And this is what then of course, what he's been able to do with the Supreme Court is to get a Supreme Court by appointing three members of that Supreme Court to get that,
Exactly.
yes, get them
He
to go
has
along with him.
he has basically padded the Supreme Court, thinking
Absolutely.
that if he is going to be convicted, they are going to overturn it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you say that and do that, what you're saying is that what Trump is really attempting to do is to take down, as I said, the guardrails that protect democracies. And democratic governments can only be protected by their institutions. And if you don't have the institutions, if you don't have, if you say the FBI, the Department of Justice, and all of that has to do exactly what you say, and you can do anything, and you're not accountable to anybody. Oh no, that's
Yeah,
not a
when you
democracy.
change the rules to favor you just in
Yes,
case.
yes,
And so now when you change the rules and then you don't wind up taking power, now you've
yes,
changed the rules for somebody else.
right. That's
So that's the
exactly
gamble
right.
that you're taking.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is precisely what I've seen and what I don't.
Now,
So
one thing I can say about this upcoming election is that there has been a lot more people who are paying attention to the issues.
yes,
There are more people discussing the issues. Women's reproductive rights, Project 2025, the border. I mean,
yes,
the border part is the funniest thing to me because people are pushing the narrative that 2 million people have crossed the border into the United States. But if you actually read what CBP put out, what it said was that 2 million people were apprehended. They
yeah.
forget the word apprehended, and they just make everybody think that 2 million people crossed the border. Okay, yeah, they crossed the border and then they were apprehended. So, so we like to twist the truth to
Yeah,
feed
this
our
is
narrative.
and this is a real problem. I mean, and I think that I mean, even though I like the fact that social media has democratized information.
Yes,
One of the things we have to do is to figure out how we can evaluate the information that's being put out a lot of times, because that's a good example of how bad information gets out there. The other thing I'll just say about the border situation, United States is not the only nation that has a border crisis, a
exactly.
border problem. I mean, I've just come from in South America, the country of Colombia, which is right next to Venezuela. All, the Venezuelans are pouring over the border into Colombia, and if you go to Costa Rica, where my wife is from, uh, who is African Costa Rican, you find that the Nicaraguans are pouring into Costa Rica. So all these countries have these border problems.
Mm.
So I mean, but to demonize people who are looking to figure out how to feed their families, and to take care of their children, to make them as demons is totally ridiculous to me. It is like all the people who came here. It was not until around 1900 that the United States even had laws that prevented people from coming in. Before that, all the Europeans who wanted could come, and they did. They just came. You didn't have to.
I
There
used
was
to
no.
live in Belgium, and
Yes,
before I drove to Germany, I just drove right in. There
absolutely.
we go.
Absolutely. And that's civilized. Why shouldn't it be that way? I mean,
Well,
the thing is,
I will say this. I do understand there being border rules, or border laws, I should say, because you never know who's coming in.
that's true.
Yeah, I do understand that, but it's not just um, a Department of Homeland Security problem. It goes way above that because Customs and Border Protection is a law enforcement agency.
Yes,
They don't make the laws; they only enforce the laws, and laws
absolutely.
are not passed by DHS.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's a very good point. Well said. I think though that for me, when I look, when I look at the border issue, particularly the so-called border issue in the United States, most often people are talking about the southern border, but
Mm.
I guarantee you that the northern border is very porous. And I'm sure that a lot of Europeans are coming to the northern border. If you're coming from Albania and other places, you just
Yeah,
come on in from Canada. You don't
yeah,
have, but this coming from Mexico is the real issue for the people who want to keep certain people out, brown people out, or people that they consider to be less than white people. That's the real problem that we have. But you're
mm,
right. The Homeland Security doesn't make the laws. The laws are made by the legislators, and many of the legislators are hypocrites in the sense that they are employing, much like Trump did, employing people uh, who did not have legitimate papers. They were
right.
employing them to do their work, and
And then
then
using it
they
as a political talking
yeah,
point when it's
absolutely,
convenient.
absolutely. So I really enjoyed being with you, and I hope I can come again.
Oh, anytime, anytime.
Yeah,
I'm really
yeah,
enjoying this conversation because, like I said, there's so much at stake, and I
yeah.
just don't
There
want
is.
people to get so excited over Kamala Harris and expecting her to be the savior for all Black people. Like I'm going to vote for her because this is going to advance Black
Mhm.
women, or I'm not going to vote for her if she's not doing anything for Black men, or I'm going to vote for her because she's going to push LGBTQ, or this or that or the other. It's you put so much on her shoulders, and you don't even know what she's standing for yet.
The only thing I want her to do is to prosecute Donald Trump. I
And the thing is,
love, I love me some Black female lawyers. I just want her to. I want her to prosecute. I mean, Letitia has been after him. Funny will. I want. He needs to be prosecuted. He is not. He is not. He has not represented this nation well, and
right.
that and he is not a good example for children or for the Christians. I don't even know how the Christians can be out there supporting him, but they are. You got the Christians, but what does that say? There's sort of Christian nationalism, which is basically a white Christian nationalism, because the Black Christians, I don't think, are supporting him, but the white Christians believe that he's for white people. That's the way they
Mhm.
look at it. It's very
Well,
racist.
did
At,
you did you hear the other comment that he made recently about he wants all the Christians to get out and vote? He said this will be the last, and we're all trying to figure out what he meant by this. But he said this will be the last time you'll have to do it. You'll never have to vote again. It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. What did he mean?
well, that's what he meant. He meant that he'll be president for life. You don't have to vote no more. You have, voting is finished. And for me, a person who comes from a tradition where my mother and father were not allowed to vote in Georgia, I mean, and voting to me is an existential issue. I have to
Absolutely.
vote. I have to tell Black people sometimes. They say, "Well, I don't know what I'm voting for." Wait, if you don't vote for Kamala, then you vote for Trump.
Well, that's the
That's,
sad part is there are so many people who say that they are not going to vote. And when you don't vote, whether it's Republican or Democrat, you're voting for the
for
couch.
the other, you
Yeah,
voting.
you're pretty much saying you don't care what happens because
That's
whether
right.
you vote or not,
That's
somebody's going to be elected and
so
somebody's going to be your president.
absolutely. And in our case right now, I mean, given the candidates, the two candidates that are running, there's no question in my mind that the best candidate for the nation and for actually pulling this nation together and advancing it and making it a forward-looking country, the best
Yes,
candidate is definitely Kamala Harris. And we certainly don't need a person who's going to be in office that will repeat what he was when he was in office before, and that is to create stress, anxiety,
yes,
make people very every day people wake up don't know what's going to happen in the country because Trump has said something that was outlandish or weird. So we just have to keep moving. But
yes.
Dr. Rhonda, thank you so much for Horizons, and you take care and keep going.
Thank you
Thank
so much. And like
you.
I said, if you ever want to come back and talk, just
Yeah,
say the word and we will make it happen.
my pleasure. Thank you so much. All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you. All
Bye bye.
right, this was Dr. Molefi Kete Asante. He is the author of The American Demagogue. He is also the father of Afrocentricity. If you want to read any of his 104 books, 104, I'm so honored to have had this man on the show. But if you want to read any of his 104 books, go to his website. You can find him at the universalrightpressbooks.com. That's uwp.com books, Molefi Kete Asante. So make sure you check out his books. This man, as you can tell, knows what he's talking about. So that is really the show tonight. It was a short show tonight, but it was a great show packed with so much information. And I just want to remind you, there's a lot of stuff coming up with Meet the World Image Solutions and the Black History Month Literary Weekend. Just to remind you, we do have a retreat coming up. The Luxury Fiction Writers Retreat will be right here in Akakeek. So here's the information right here. Um, Space is limited. The address will be provided upon confirmation because it will be in my home. I'm inviting you into my home, y'all. So you have to make sure that you confirm, you pay your fee, and then you will get the address to come to my home for a luxury writers retreat. We're going to have a catered lunch. We're going to have mimosas. We're going to have wine. We'll have special guest speakers. Everybody's going to get a free workbook. This is something you absolutely want to be at. So I really hope that you guys will attend. Also, we have other things coming up. For those of you who met me in New Orleans, or if you're going to see me this coming weekend, make sure you get a copy of the summer book catalog. You can actually go right to the Meet the World Image Solutions website, Literary Horizons book catalog, and you can click the link there, and you can actually download the catalog. It's interactive, which means that you can open it up, you can flip through the pages, you can read the sample chapters from each of the 25 authors who were in the catalog. And then if you like what you read at the end of the chapter, you can click a link that will take you to their purchase page, and you can support that author. So this is an amazing tool for those of you who want to sample the book a little bit before you actually read it. So make sure that you get a copy of the Literary Horizons Summer Book Catalog. Now, if you are in the DMV area, make sure you come out to the National Harbor on Saturday. I will be there from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. signing copies of my book, Trust. And I'm sure you've heard about Trust because it was a really good book. This is Trust right here. It was a book, Never Play with a Woman's Trust. So you can get that book on Saturday at the Black Books Matter Fest, which will take place at Mahogany Books at the National Harbor. And I'm going to have so many things there. I'm going to be announcing so many things. So just so you know, all the things I'm going to be announcing, I told you I'm going to be selling my book there, but I'm also going to be announcing the lineup for the Black History Month Literary Weekend 2025. I'm so excited. We have 10 authors who are going to be a part of this event. And we have our special guest speaker who I will be announcing this weekend. I'm not telling you the lineup yet. I'm not telling you the special guest speakers. You'll find out everything on Saturday. So if you're in the DMV area, make sure you come and see me so I can get you that information. Also, if you would like to be a part of the Black History Month Literary Weekend, I've already told you the author lineup is filled. I'm not taking any new authors right now. However, you can be a sponsor. We would love for you to be a part of it. We're having so many things that are going to be happening that you can be a part of. You are going to get so much exposure if you are an author or a small business person. So just click the link. It's on your screen right now, meettheworldimagesolutions.com /BHM-2025. That's mtwimagesolutions.com/BHM-2025. So you can find out more information about how you can be a sponsor for the Black History Month Literary Weekend. And we have some really affordable packages, guys, that's going to get you a lot of exposure. So I want to make sure that you guys are a part of it. So, and then I also have one other special announcement, but I will not be making an announcement until Saturday. You're definitely going to want to be a part of this one. There's so much going on. So I hope you guys are staying in touch with us, following us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and of course, the Meet the World Image Solutions website. We have so much going on, and I want to thank you all for making this happen. You guys are the reason why Meet the World Image Solutions has been around for 9 years. It is all because of you guys. So I want to thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. Thank you for what you're doing for the Black History Month Literary Weekend. I started this. This was my first event. as Meet the World Image Solutions. And you guys have kept it going and have shown so much love. And I just really, really appreciate that. So that's all I have for tonight, guys. We will be back on Monday at our regular time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Tuesday, I'll be back with Black Authors Matter TV, which starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find it all on the Meet the World Image Solutions Facebook page, as well as YouTube. So keep following us, keep helping us grow. More to follow. I love you guys. God bless you, and good night.